Hi, very good morning to you. It's Jim from maverickstar. I'm going to show you some photos going back into the 1930s where the German Nazis were actively going out there destroying anything that was not considered true German beliefs. So they decided to go out and burn all the literature and go after, small printing factory owners that they called propagandists. And we are back there now. Clearly, if you had access to someone that survived the Holocaust and asked them what they thought the times that we are living in right now, they would be shocked. Probably still now have tears in their eyes, because they would say, "Oh my God, it has returned," and it has absolutely returned. It's funny. A friend, a very good friend, Robert, in the comment section yesterday said that these people from these organisations such as the United Nations, the European Union, and other politicians in all of our countries today around the world are climate deniers. They are pushing a scam in order to raise hundreds of billions of pounds. They've even given us a figure. They want to raise 500 billion every year. And of course this will put a lot of people into severe poverty. We're already seeing it right now. It's not just putting people into poverty, it's also putting local cities into poverty. And there should be more said about Birmingham City Council, which is the second, I believe, largest city in Europe, which has declared openly on mainstream media that they are bankrupt. And that's where we are right now. And not only that, they talk about, I brought this out, I showed you how hypocritical the Secretary General was in what he was talking about. He blamed people like me for having an alternative view on climate. Let's just call it that, even though what I talk about is backed up with facts that are derived from equipment that we've recorded. He claims that people like me are causing death and destruction, and that we must be outed. Now, I'm just using my tongue. That's my weapon. I ain't giving away missiles, bombs to countries like the Ukraine so that they can fight, the Russian army. Instead, I would try and promote peace, and say not one more drop of blood between the two countries. Resolve your situation in an amicable way. Do not kill any more innocent people because of your opinions and your stubbornness. Find a way to resolve this where nobody else's grandson or son or daughter or daughter-in-law or whatever dies. Resolve it in a way where it's amicable, and stop going after people with alternative views, expressing their feelings with whoever they want, however they want. Because what is rapidly returning is a burning of the literature and a repeat of Nazi behaviour, and we don't want to see any more of that. This is a photograph of Joseph Goebbels speaking out during a book burning meeting. And we've got a Joseph Goebbels back right now running the United Nations, because he talks on one hand about democracy, but we all know what democracy stands for. Democracy stands for ourselves to choose who we want to lead us in the next coming years after an election. but they are rigging the elections so that the likes of Joseph Goebbels stays in power, and these people are soulless. They know how to prey on good people because the majority of human beings are not evil and they're not from hell. We are people with good souls, good spirits and good nature, kind and caring people, and we know that these people are not supportive of real climate issues, not supportive of democracy, not supportive of freedom of speech, because all is we need to do to know if they are good or bad is just simply, as the Bible told us, judge them by their works. The Secretary General says that people on social media with alternative views are the ones that cause death and destruction. I ask you, am I supplying weapons? Am I promoting anything evil or wicked on this channel? Ever? Have I ever hurt anybody? No. But if we judge them, they're supplying weapons. They are impoverishing people globally. And are they accountable for the money that they have raised already and where it has gone and what it's been spent on? It's clearly now obvious how to spot them, because they say everything 180 degrees from the actual truth. They say it's global warming. It's not, and it hasn't been for a long time. Greenland used to be called Greenland because it was flush green fields and the Vikings was able to settle on that continent. Now they've abandoned it many years ago because the temperatures are slowly creeping down out of the polar regions towards the tropical regions of our planet. So what they say about global warming is 180 degrees away from the truth. They say they support democracy, yet at the same time they tell us that they're going to go after these people on social media because of their alternative views, yet everybody knows who has ever looked at the freedoms that we are entitled to. You will know that we are free to have whatever viewpoints we want and share them with who we want. And if we want to protest, it is perfectly allowed. But we've seen what Justin Trudeau's done to the truckers, how he initiated the Emergency Act so that he could shut them down, how he stole the money that was supporting those truckers, and how they imprisoned those truckers for doing something that they was allowed and entitled to do. And from what I have been told by some people, some of these people are still in prison right now over that protest. And yet it was considered one of the most peaceful protests on record. So we know when they talk about democracy, they are just using the words because they know they mean something to human beings with good spirits and good souls, because they are using them words against us in a different manner. Guys, I really hope that what we are witnessing right now is not a cycle of a particular type of human behaviour. Like I'm saying, what the Secretary General is talking like is a psychopath, not just a hypocrite, but a schizophrenic. Because on one hand, and in 1 minute, he's saying he wants to promote and encourage democracy around the world, but in the next, he wants to go after people with alternative views on whatever topic. You know, he doesn't mind whatever these people lose, so long as things go his way. You know, we have some hellish spirits on this earth right now who should be more in a position to know that when they talk about these subjects, such as democracy, yet on the hand that they're talking about democracy, on the other one, they are going completely against everything democracy stands for, because at the very heart of democracy is the freedom to mix with whoever you want, discuss your ideas with whoever you want, and on whatever topic you want, whether that be on social media or just in your local community. They don't like it because the press and mainstream media have lost the grip on the public's attention around the world because of social media platforms and people speaking their minds, and people, you know, are encouraged to not only listen to them, but, you know, when in some circumstances it's presented as, you know, very clear evidence and facts, it's very difficult for mainstream media to say otherwise, because at that point they have lost the argument. And right now, at this point, the United Nations have lost the argument. They've lost their case for supporting democracy, because the leader, the Secretary General, has came out and said he wants to go after these people because they cause death and destruction. And that's not true, because we don't have people like me and other people that discuss topics that they don't like us talking about are the ones, not the ones, sorry, with the weapons, with the massive amounts of money and the influence to cause wars. We're not that people. We're not those people. So clearly, they're exposed by people like us. If this is a cycle of these psychopaths returning back from the 1930s to this present day, then we know it just doesn't stop at book burning, don't we? Because we know the atrocities from the stories that the people survived those times. Very few are Holocaust survivors left today, but we know from their experiences that they've shared with us what happened next. Because this is 1933, only a few years later was the war in full swing, and the disgusting behaviour of, you know, the building of Auschwitz, the death factory, was established. Because these people also was against the freedom of sharing information, and that's what the book burning was all about. So I really, really hope that this is not another cycle, and that these people are stopped sooner rather than later. Because if they're not, we know exactly what came next after this, don't we? If they was true people of peace, love and support for other human beings, they would not let one person die in a pointless war. They certainly wouldn't encourage wars by supplying bombs, missiles, guns and bullets, tanks, aircraft, you name it, all weapons of mass destruction. Let's face it, you know, the money that has been wasted, you know, the sweat and work and labour of millions of people around the world that have been taxed only to have that money wasted on battleships, submarines, things that just kill other people, you know, as opposed to building hospitals, better schools, better infrastructure, supporting a better and happier and well-being life for the majority of us on this planet, because we have literally squandered not only money but our time to this very point. Can I ask you, when did ever words in a book ever do any harm to anybody? But obviously the information within them books was not falling in line with what they wanted it to, and so that was enough to encourage the burning of literature. You know, to end this on a positive note, you know, there are cycles in life, as we find. You know, we can see repetitive and repetitive actions and behaviour, and there is a cycle in the Bible, and that cycle ends in Revelations with a guy who rides up on a pale horse, and on his breastplate are the words King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and also on his thigh are written those words. And he goes to war with the nation's armies, and he doesn't use anything other than the words within his mouth to defeat them. So, if we are in a cycle, we know we just have to wait and have faith in God that He will protect the innocent and the righteous and the good. I hope that something that we've talked about here sinks in, because we are just like the second hand on a clock or a watch, ticking to that point where it is no longer in their interest to burn the literature. They need to take it a further step forward from that. But we know there is a saviour at the end, and after all this part of life that we're in and this cycle that we're in, we know that it does get better. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Guys, we are trying to raise some funds to keep this observatory going, and there is a link down there in the description if you would like to help. You know, we would completely appreciate that. And, you know, keep your eyes open and your ears open and observe what's going on. And remember, the way to judge them is not with what comes out the mouth, is judge them on their actions, because their actions are clear. They're not for us. They're not for good people. They are taking advantage of us right now. Yes, they use words like democracy and freedoms, but clearly, when we see Justin Trudeau's, you know, behave like he did, we know that that is far from the truth. And when we see them go after people like Jordan Peterson, you know, because of his public arena and the topics he talks about, we know that they don't like it, and they are interfering now with his life. Can you believe that? And that is their demonstration of their interpretation of democracy, and it clearly is not. It's 180 degrees away from the truth. Just like global warming, 180 degrees from the truth. It's provable. These people are not scientists. It's laughable when you look at what they say. You know, there are many, many contributors to things that can affect the climate. They chose the least likely, just like a bully would. in a playground, he would go after the weakest. That's exactly what they did. Take care of your loved ones. As always, bye for now.